Good morning. So today I wanted to talk about meeting with a client last week, running on anxiety, as most of us actually are. There's so much generational trauma and trauma in our lives that our bodies, to some extent, have become obviously traumatized. And the statistics now are between 80 and 85% of people are just running on anxiety as a way of being in the world. And at some point, hopefully, they will recognize what's happening. And you add that to loving somebody who's dealing with substance use disorder, and it just kind of kicks us into overdrive. We're worried constantly about, can we save them? Can we keep them from dying? Will they die? Will they be homeless? And will they go to jail? Will something happen to them? So many questions that go with this disease. And really, our job is to calm the nerves as best as we possibly can, because when we're running on anxiety and worry all the time, we make poor decisions and we don't show up in the best version of ourselves to help those that we love the most that are dealing with substance use disorder. And so I challenged my client last week by asking him a question. He's focused on reducing his anxiety. He's focused on moving away from his anxiety. And what that really means is he's still focused on his anxiety. And where our focus goes, our energy goes. And we continue to create anxiety. And so I asked him a question. I said, what for you is the opposite of anxiety? And there was this long pause. Quite frankly, I'm not sure he even thought about it before. It's like, what was he really headed towards instead of just away from? And we talked about calm, peace, ease and flow, relaxation. And he began to kind of play with those notions and wondering if he really could move in the direction of peace and calm, ease and flow. And what I know to be true is I work with a program called Positive Intelligence, and the program that I use is the PQ program. And you can pull up Google PQ assessment. It's like a 2-minute quick assessment that lets you know where you are on a scale from just barely hanging on all the way up to thriving. Then you can also do a Saboteurs assessment. And that will let you know what's actually sabotaging you. The first master saboteur is the judge. It's always the judge. We're constantly judging good, bad, right, wrong. If we can flip that away from and towards what's working and what's not working, it takes the emotional energy out of it. We're just observing what's working, what's not working, and getting to the goals that we want to get to. So besides the master saboteur, there's 10 other saboteurs that kind of sit in the passenger seat, so to speak, with the judge. One of mine is hyper-rational. And so when I'm stressed, not only am I judging the situation, but I'm also very keen on rationalizing what's going on. And I'm very much in my head. And in order for me really to be at optimum and making really good decisions, I need to go to empathy, which means I need to go to my heart. And I need to see myself as a small child, which is the quickest way to get to empathy, or the person I'm talking to, or the people that I'm talking to as small children, to get to empathy first. And then once I'm in empathy, then I can just be super curious and lay the judgments aside. And so I'm going to encourage you, go take the PQ assessment, go take the Saboteurs assessment, see where you are, be curious about this information, It's incredibly valuable. And so this young man that I'm working with, he's a 37-year-old executive and running on anxiety. And so we're working with the PQ program to move him to thriving, out of crisis, out of struggling, out of surviving, and into thriving, just by changing the nature of the question. If you're moving away from anxiety, what are you actually moving towards? If you're moving away from worry, what are you actually moving towards? If you're moving away from frustration, what are you actually moving towards? Those things are really mission critical so that you can make the best decisions possible, show up as the best version of yourself. And really, truly, when you're more in thriving mode, you actually influence your loved one who's dealing with substance use disorder in a much more powerful way. This is where we get to love with boundaries. Love them. See them as a small child that's been injured and gone through trauma. And this disease is the red flag that trauma exists for them. So play with those questions. What are you moving toward instead of what are you moving away from? I choose to move towards thriving, towards joy, towards calm, towards ease and flow, towards kind of just really observing what's happening and surfing with what shows up in a much more powerful, centered way. Ease and flow. I'm going to challenge you. Take the challenge. You'll be far more powerful for yourself, for your family, and for your loved one dealing with substance use disorder. Have a great day.